Hey guys, it's Breck Bassinger, but you may recognize my voice as Stargirl from CW Stargirl. And as Stargirl, I always listen to Stargirl After Show. It's so much fun getting to listen to all of my different castmates' interviews, hear about DC lore, and of course all the Stargirl history. So make sure you go listen to Stargirl After Show. And yes, I know I just said Stargirl like 50 times, but seriously, go listen to it.
The third movie in the Jaws franchise was initially pitched as a spoof film by the producers of the first two films, David Brown and Richard Zanuck. With the success of National Lampoon's Animal House still lingering on everyone's mind, the movie was pitched with the unfortunate title of Jaws 3: People Zero. However, turning the franchise towards comedy was looked down upon by Universal and specifically Steven Spielberg, who did not want his Jaws movie to retroactively be looked upon as a joke. Joe Alves, the production designer on the first two movies, was hired as the director. This was to be his directorial debut. Actor Roy Scheider, who played Chief Brody in the first two films, laughed at the idea of returning for this sequel. Instead, a young up-and-coming actor by the name of Dennis Quaid was hired to play the lead role of Chief Brody's son, Mike, who now works at a SeaWorld-like theme park in Florida. This movie was made during the 3D boom of the early 1980s, alongside other notable 3D classics such as Amityville 3D and Friday the 13th Part 3. However, the use of 3D in this film was done for gimmicky effect as opposed to adding depth to the film's overall atmosphere. The filmmakers chose to linger on nonsensical shots of inanimate objects to provide a sense of them being just out of arm's reach from audience members. Despite being number one in its opening weekend and making a lifetime gross of $87 million, Jaws 3D exemplified the series' diminishing returns, making nearly $100 million less than Jaws 2. Holding a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie was torn apart by critics who were happy to point out its needless existence. But what did we think of this movie? Join me, Matt McGregor, along with my co-hosts Harris McCabe and Colin Shaw, as we put on our 3D glasses and explore the third dimension of terror while we watch the third movie in the Jaws franchise of films. This is 1983's Joe Alves classic, Jaws 3D. This is a show about franchises. Shark Attack franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Why in the world was this movie made?
Welcome to License to Watch. This is the episode you've all been waiting for, where we will be covering the greatest movie ever made by humans, Jaws 3D. Mm-hmm. Of course, I don't think any of us actually watched it in 3D. I don't think that is even a possibility at this point in time. I think 3D has been blackballed out of Hollywood. I don't know if it's a thing that still exists. But maybe James Cameron will change that.
It was found to be
again.
Communist.
I read somewhere that the 2016 Blu-ray of this movie had a 3D version on it as like a bonus feature, but didn't even bother to advertise it anywhere on the outside. Like it just is on the DVD or the Blu-ray, but nobody even bothered to mention it because it's such a random thing that nobody gives a shit about.
Because they made 3D TVs for a while, but I don't think they even make those anymore.
Well, that's
right?
like I feel like every 30 years or so, people are like, oh no, how are we going to get people to, buy our whatever the product is, whether it's go out to the movies or buy a new flat screen or whatever. And the answer they first come up with is always, well, let's just put it in 3D. And for like a month, everyone thinks it's really cool and gets really excited about it. And they're like, oh my God, it worked. 3D's back. And then by the time they do the product rollout, everyone's like, oh, I got a headache. I'm not watching this shit.
Yeah, you have to like sit at the right angle. You can't even like be to the side. You have to be directly in front of the TV. It's a real pain in the butt. I had a friend who had a 3D TV. I think he showed me some movie. I can't even remember what the heck we watched, but it's fine. But it was like I wasn't like racing to go buy one for myself immediately after that. You have to like still wear the stupid glasses and stuff.
Yeah, you know when the magic is lost for 3D for me is when you go see it and then everyone dumps their glasses in that big bin where they're all just mixed together with everybody's like face oils all rubbing, and then just one theater employee, obviously getting paid very little, like spritzes them twice and then dumps them in another bin, you know? That's when the magic is lost.
Absolutely right. Before we get started, I should say that our guest for this episode, a very special guest, is a writer, director, and a USC alum. Let's welcome Anna Elizabeth James.
Woo. Thanks for having me, guys. This is super fun.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Again, I'm so sorry that you had to watch this movie as your welcome to this show.
No, it's been good, actually. I'm like, I need to have the kids watch this. I have teenagers, and it's a treat.
That's not the word I would use, but yeah.
Yeah.
When the arm is, like, floating out, you're like, what is that? You're like, kids, this is 3D.
It's these sustained shots that are so awkward that are like, and it has to, it's like, it's not just that these shots are totally extra and don't need to be in the movie at all. It's they hold them for such a long time so you can really grasp the majesty of the 3D effect, which is like not a cutting technique. Like it's totally different editing than the whole rest of the movie. Just these random shots of, there were times when it was more subtle, where it wasn't like a big object popping out at me, and it was just sort of like just looking at like stuff on the seafloor or something.
Like the reeds in like the swamp reeds. You're just
Yeah, the reeds that come right at the screen. And I was like, wait, what am I supposed to be getting at here? Like, what are they trying to tell me by holding the shot for so long? And then I was like, oh, yeah, right, the stupid 3D.
This is back when 3D was, like, really gimmicky. Like, teenagers paused their makeout sessions to look at the screen and, like, go like this and, like, reach out to try to grab the, like, floating fish head or whatever.
The reaching out at the air gesture. So classic.
Classic 3D. That should be the universal symbol for 3D, is somebody waving their hands in front of their face.
I just kept imagining myself at like a drive-in. I'm like, oh, this is the part where you make out. This is the part where you stop. Like, it just took me back in time. Not that I grew up in the 80s or was a teenager in the 80s, but I was transported.
Babe,
Yeah.
this is the 3D part. Babe.
Oh, you gotta check this out. This hand's
Look
so
at the
gnarly.
fish head. Its mouth is still opening.
Its mouth is still opening and closing for some reason. Those have to be sophisticated at the time. That had to be some
No, I think that's the thing. Is
special
nothing about this movie was sophisticated at the time.
Well, that first shot with the arm, I was like, what is this? I was like, oh, this is 3D.
That's just what our like body parts, our severed body parts look like. It's just like red Jello with like a white like stick sticking out. That's anatomy.
Yeah, white bones, everything about it, and the fact that it's so clearly like just, I guess at that stage, knock it off. Sorry, I got cats fighting over here. At that stage, I think that's like what, like, I guess it was blue screen then to superimpose the image over it. Which was probably really early in that process too. But I think all those 3D effects were like when they had an object floating there, it was like just superimposing that image over whatever they were shooting.
What a wild ride the making of this movie must have been. I had read that Dennis Quaid has since stated that this is the point in his life when he was like the most high on cocaine, and he said that he's high on cocaine for like every shot of this movie.
Yeah, he said that every single shot on film he was on
flying
cocaine. And then like he's also jokingly said, when somebody references this movie, he's also jokingly said, wait, Jaws what?
That's so funny you bring that up, because then I literally took notes and I was like, right here, Dennis Quaid, his legs, yes, his eyes. Like, I took a lot of notes. He'd be so proud of me.
His nose, so red.
My big disappointment is he only rides that jet ski like one time, and he really
that jet ski
he looked
ruled.
good on that thing, and yeah, those are great jet skis.
That was when I was like, legs.
Yes.
They don't really.
Shit was hot.
They don't really make jet skis like that anymore. They're all like the sit-down Sea-Doo types. That was back when a jet ski could be basically a razor scooter in the water, and people are just like, "Ooh, yeah, don't fall off. Keep your balance."
He just, like hops off and like lets it go down. I was like, "Ooh, I wonder how many takes was that? That was sweet."
It like slams down. Yeah, he like does. He's careless about it.
Oh yeah,
love it.
He must have gotten good at it. Did you ever play the video game Wave Race 64? It was one of the first Nintendo 64 video games. It was like really bad graphics of those kind of jet skis just racing each other. Yeah.
I think everyone did, because I think you're right. I think it was like one of the first
came
ones
with
that came out.
The purchase if you bought one like in the first run or whatever.
Well, how old are you guys? Because I'm 42 and
I'm 21.
Yeah.
We're the same age. I mean, they're all younger than us,
sweet.
but you and I are the same age.
My age according to my birth certificate is 36. So.
But you don't identify as a 36-year-old.
I don't identify as 36.
So you bring up that video game because Dennis Quaid was a playable character? Is that what you're getting at? I don't.
I wish he should have been.
Only Chief Brody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead now.
Oh, I wrote down a lot of notes about wardrobe, like the popped collars, the fun hairstyles.
The waitress?
The waitress.
The waitress
she had,
had a look.
Pink.
Yeah.
She looked pretty 80s.
I literally just bought a top the other day with like a scrunchy arm look with the puff sleeves. I think like weirdly enough, some of these styles are really in right now. Yeah. So it was fun to see.
I love the waitress character because it was clear that they asked her to play the character as very one note until she realizes the guy's dead, and then she's not getting very much more screen time. She's about to be gone.
There are so many odd choices with the casting and like the characters. Let's just like jump right. Well, I guess before we jump into it, actually, what's everyone's history with this movie? I definitely saw this as a kid. I think it was on TV a lot. I remember the ending, and like when I started hearing the music, like the intense music when like during the one action scene that this movie has at the end, that came back to me. I was like, oh, I definitely remember this music and this grenade scene or whatever. But the whole like beginning of the movie, God, I was like falling asleep the first time I watched it. I had to watch it a second time to stay awake. I did not remember a lot of that stuff. I feel like for a movie that takes place at SeaWorld, I didn't get enough like SeaWorld action,
really?
But I'll get more into that later.
I'm surprised at that, actually. There was a lot of SeaWorld stuff in the first half.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way this would get made today, ever. Not in a million years.
Yeah. Well, like, SeaWorld already has bad press, and they would put their name on the Shark Attack movie? No, I don't think so.
I was shocked they licensed this thing.
Yeah.
They definitely, like, didn't ask permission. They just did it.
I was impressed with the setup. I was like, ooh, this is some good writing. Some really good setups here.
Yeah.
When I was young, my grandparents took me to both SeaWorld San Antonio and SeaWorld San Diego, and the SeaWorld in this movie is way better than those SeaWorlds. This thing is sweet.
I was there. I lived in San Antonio when that one opened, and for the first week it had a soft open where if you were a San Antonio resident, you got in for I think free or a discount or something like that. So we went I think we went multiple times that week because we lived right there in the city. It was awesome. That was back when it was like on the outskirts of the city, which now it's like in the middle of a fancy neighborhood because the city just keeps on growing out and out and out and out. But I remember that opening up and going to see Shamu.
I was blown away by the acrobatic water ski, and I was like, a little boat like that can pull 12 people, or what it was, 8 people, and I was, and no life jackets. I was like, how do you get away with that? Like, how does that happen?
Also, I thought it was funny how they all have their own water skis at the beginning, and then as they climb up into the pyramid, I guess they just kick off their water skis and they just end up falling into the. I was very concerned about where those water skis were, and if another boat has to come and scoop them up or something.
No, the girls were hanging on to them. There's that's when 4 they went guys. And then the girls hang on to their back. Oh, you mean in the first shot?
That's when they went back up. But in the first shot, everyone's got their own skis. I actually rewound it to check because I was like, wait, I thought they had their own skis. And then I think they just kick them off and climb up. It's very weird.
Yeah, they just kicked them
has
off.
anybody have any of you ever been water skiing?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
I've never been to SeaWorld.
I'm taking.
I might be the most experienced at water skiing, but I'm not sure. I don't know about our guests.
I have. Well, I will tell you. I have been dragged behind a boat by a rope with skis on my feet. And
But it was someone trying to kill you.
well, I was swallowing a lot of water. I was mostly like, if you go water ski on your face first, I did that, but I don't think I actually ever effectively got up and skied on top of the water. So it's a mystery. Having tried it, it's a mystery to me, and I'll tell you, it's a lot harder than it looks, I thought.
Yeah, we just got a surf boat, actually. And I don't know if you know what surf boats are. It's an MB-52. It's a classic, and I have teenage boys, and so the boat makes a wave, and you surf on it. And
I've done that.
when I was
cool.
watching this the opening, I was so enamored with because I'm so worried about so many things when driving the boat, and so my producer instinct just turned on. I was like, how are they doing that? How did they get away with that?
They're definitely all standing on a solid thing, right? They can't all be trained in this.
No, they could do that. This is at the
Yeah, they
peak
could.
of
Yeah.
people being able to actually do that stuff.
Yeah, and in that moment, I was like, why aren't we in the 80s? We've lost so much.
An important part of our cultural history: water skiing pyramids.
Yeah, that's literally what I was actually thinking that. This is a thing that people could do and did do, and it's gone and dead and may never come back.
Exactly, forever gone. It's so terrible. We've actually digressed as a society because we don't do shit like that anymore.
Well, it's what I used to do after, I actually can't. I have surfed behind a boat, like what you were talking about. I've skied, and I've kneeboarded, and I've wakeboarded. So I've done the entire. The only thing I couldn't do was when I skied, I couldn't kick off the one ski and just go slalom style. But my dad could do that when I was a kid, and because he grew up near a lake, and it was real casual. People used to be able to fucking ski, man. I don't know what happened.
No, it's very intense on the boat. Just the whole experience, There's so many things you have to keep track of, and just watching the movie, I was like, they make it look so easy. What is going on right now?
This sounds like Colin's political platform. Make water skiing great again.
More water skiing. Bring it back. Make America wet again.
Yes.
If elected
Force
president,
the children out of their schools, bring them to the water, and we will
not
ski them.
nominate a single Supreme Court justice that can't also water ski.
Oh my God, the Supreme Court on skis? How sweet would that be, though? In the robes, making decisions.
They've got to hear all closing
handle
arguments on water
in one
skis.
hand, gavel in one hand, handle in the other. Oh my God.
There's a trend with surfing where you're surfing and then they throw you the robe, and then you put on your robe, and then you surf with your graduation gown on. It's a thing right now. I'm going to do it with my son. He just graduated.
There you go.
But if you guys are ever in Utah or come by this way, on your way through to LA, come on by and I'll take you on the boat.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
But wait, have you guys, what's your history with this movie? Had anyone ever seen it before? Is this a first time?
I know I've
everyone?
seen the shark exploding at the end and its jaws pop out in 3D at the screen, which is one of the dumbest of all the dumb 3D things that happened to this movie. I think I've seen it in in the background at bars and stuff. I've definitely seen the water skiing scene before on TV, but I've never actually watched this movie. In fact, I did not know that Dennis Quaid and the other guy were playing Chief Brody's kids, which, by the way,
Doesn't make
is
sense.
insanity. If you try to figure out if I remember I commented on their ages not making sense in the last movie because it's the older kid was 17 and it didn't look like he was 12 in the previous movie, which was only made a few years earlier. This movie's only made 5 years after he was a teenager in that movie. and he's played by 30-year-old Dennis Quaid, who's like also not playing a young man. He's playing a guy who's obviously like he's an engineer. He's got a job. He's got like he's clearly like he's playing someone around his age. Yet it's happening only a few years after he was a teenager in the previous movie.
He got
bizarre.
the engineering contract for the largest SeaWorld ever built.
As like an 18-year-old, and then he just moved on down there.
And the coincidence of them encountering another great white shark now in actually, do they ever say where this is? Is this
Florida.
in
I
Florida?
just assumed Florida. I'm not sure if it's stated.
I figured it was either Florida or San Diego, but they never actually say.
They shot it in Florida, and he references going up the coast or something at some point to see his parents. So I assume that that's what it is.
But for them to run into a shark again in Florida, are great whites even in Florida?
The shark is after them. It's followed them
and also
down.
there's two great whites as well, the baby and the mother. Yeah.
What other notes do I have in my phone? Oh, okay. Popped collared shirts, the boom box, the phone with cords, the Wheaties box, the big sunglasses.
Yes.
There were so many gifs watching because I have never seen this, and it was just a hoot. Like I had a ball.
Yeah, the style is cool. I love that. Also, this SeaWorld has gone full in for the rainbow stuff, like rainbow flags everywhere. Just I
was thinking the
so
same
stylish.
thing. I was like, ooh, you go, guys.
Yeah,
I was surprised that this movie like didn't have. I was fully expecting like a lot of eye roll, like cheese ball moments, and there's really not. It's a pretty straightforward plot, and the acting is fine. Really, this movie's like biggest flaw is that it's just boring as fuck. It's like every scene goes on for way too long, and like you get the point, like just move on. And it's not shot dramatically at all. Like everything is in wides all the time. There's barely any close-ups. Like you just like don't get in it. The director, who this is the only movie he ever directed, by the way, he just like doesn't suck you in. He doesn't get you in there. And like I just kept losing focus, and I was like, oh my god, this movie is so boring.
I also think that some of the characters are boring, specifically because they're like trying too hard to make the characters interesting. Like the owner of the SeaWorld, he's like very character actor playing a very like big character, and then he's distracted by these two other like way over the top British guy characters who are like just too over the top. And they're like all very much side characters to what's going on with Dennis Quaid and his girlfriend and brother and all that stuff. And like it's too much going on, but like you would think that would be interesting, but it somehow makes it more boring, right? I don't know if you
honestly
agree.
Yes.
I was kind of I liked the ridiculous British characters. I liked the over the top Louis Gossett Jr. I thought it was all like that. I wanted like more of that, and I wanted to lean into that a lot harder. Like I wish they had been better developed, but like that was one of the redeeming qualities because I thought all those actors were fun, and I thought like the roles and the interactions were kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, to Matt's point, this is a movie that's like 2 hours long, and it's like it's one thing to be a bad movie, but it's another thing to be a bad movie that's more than 90 minutes long. It's just like a whole other sin. And I swear to God, if they had just cut out all the stupid 3D shots, we would have gotten this down to like 110 minutes, maybe 105 minutes, and it might have been tolerable. But no, it's just exhausting.
But that's how they got all the kids in the seats, right? Made $80 million, $20 million budget I was looking at.
Yeah, this was a profitable movie.
Yeah.
Oh, god.
Yeah.
But it is diminishing returns, right?
Yeah, second biggest opening weekend of the year, but then plummeted off a cliff pretty much after that.
Yeah.
Apparently apparently a lot of the 3D in this movie was supposed to be just sort of like the environmental 3D of being underwater and stuff. And it was a studio that insisted, no, we have to have shit flying out of the screen. You have to have like 8 more pieces of shit flying at the screen because people will feel like they got cheated if they don't see shit in their face. And like insisted on just adding unprovoked.
Zoom in on that fake octopus.
Yeah, exactly.
Zoom in on those reeds.
Yeah, we need to see him really close.
Also, like the blood clouds that come at you, like those probably didn't even look
Blood
that
clouds
good.
look good. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, really?
Those are some good blood clouds.
Okay. I want to go back to what Harris said about the SeaWorld owner. Did you guys notice they gave him that other character who was like his cousin later on? I would have liked to
nephew.
see
His nephew.
Oh, his nephew, right? Yeah, I like that. I like the idea that the nephew is constantly like having to like rein this guy in from just being like a crazy SeaWorld owner. Like I would like
They
to see
build
more
him
of
up
that.
to be like a super villain. Like every decision he makes is bad, and it's like he doesn't care about people. You know, when they all almost get killed by the shark, they make a point to say like, you didn't ask if any of us were okay. You just cared about the film.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I was like, oh, this guy's definitely gonna get his comeuppance at the end.
But
And
then
he
his,
doesn't.
But then who gets his comeuppance? The nephew, who is just like super helpful. Every time
Yes.
somebody's trying to go somewhere or do something, he's like, "Oh, let me help you with that, doctor. What's your name? Oh, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah."
Right.
And of course, the shark busts through the window in the cheesiest effect in the history of film, maybe,
Awful.
and immediately just eats the one guy, like the nicest guy in the room.
Yeah. Also, like they kind of like don't lean into him being the supervillain, because they also have scenes where it's like it's clearly these British guys are toxic and they're like making him want to be bad, and like they didn't really pick a lane there. It's just
Yeah,
I
but
don't
then the
know.
British guys are actually kind of heroic, and if whoever tied that fucking knot had done a better job, they would have succeeded in doing what they were trying to do.
I hated the British guys. I wish they weren't in the film at all, to be honest with you. Like they're weird.
What's the opposite of an Anglophile? I feel like Colin is
Yeah.
like, the opposite, like he's prejudiced against people from the UK.
I felt like whenever a character comes onto the scene like that, I don't know, in recent films, but just watching this one, I was like, oh, he's an investor. He's like, someone paid him, or he paid someone off, and especially if they don't die, oh, it's definitely like the situation like that. That's what I felt like it was.
like he's getting a cameo.
Yeah, like he bought
Yeah,
it or
like,
something.
I hated those guys. I don't know.
I have a
Yeah.
real question for you guys. My question is, have you ever played Standoff before?
Oh,
Do you
the
guys remember
stupid
that
bar
part?
game. Yeah,
Oh.
no, never.
Yeah.
How does he notice what they're doing from like the entire other side of the bar, and he's like so into it? Oh, they're playing Standoff. I'm the champion of that where I'm
He's one of
from,
those
'cause
guys
that makes
who like
sense.
carries a deck of Cards Against Humanity with him everywhere he goes and tries to start a game. And it's like, Jesus, dude, no, come on. He's like, no, I'm really good at it. Yeah, whatever.
Oh yeah, I just couldn't stop looking at her dimples. Is it Leah Thompson? Is that how you say it?
Leah, I think.
Leah?
Leah,
Yeah.
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 Like her, like she's so cute. Do you guys find her cute?
Yeah, and she's like one of the
Yeah.
only ones who took off.
Yeah, she's
From this
what,
movie, yeah.
21 or 22 in this.
Do you know what else she's from?
Whatchamacallit?
She's very
Yeah.
famous for being in 3 movies that are
With my
a
yeah.
trilogy of movies
Yes,
about
Back to
time
the Future.
travel.
1, 2, 3.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, and for being Caroline in the city.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, this is a very early role for this. I think her first movie role, and she was very like I think she maybe was 19 or 20, and very I don't think anybody would ever. Oh, she was also in Howard the Duck, wasn't she?
Yeah, I was gonna play top 4 with her later, but
I think.
Well, I'm ruining that.
Oh,
But
no.
I don't think anybody would ever accuse her of being a great actress. But you can definitely see why she had a career from this, because she's very cute, she's very likable, and like in in a certain role, she's very good in Back to the Future movies. She's just overall kind of likable and in kind of a safe way.
She had everything she needed for this role. I mean, she really seduced that guy on the beach, and she really looked like she could water ski out there. So
Yeah, that shot
she
when
seemed
in
like
the
fun.
opening when they're like up high as if they're standing on shoulders. I'm like, what are they standing on?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so is Standoff another one of those like 80s cultural things that's dead now, like being really into water
I
skiing?
kind
like
of
that? Like, would we know what that is if we were?
I feel like
in
this
the
could
time
also
period?
be one of those things that they just made up some stupid thing for the movie that was like, okay, we need something where people are going to interact at a bar and
Yeah.
the girls and the guys can flirt. Make up a game. And they're like, okay, thumb wrestling. And they're like, they shot down like 8 ideas. And they're like, okay, what if they're just like pushing each other's hands?
well, because
Somebody wanted.
this movie came out shortly after Raiders of the Lost Ark, and she kind of has she drinks the guy under the table in that movie. Do you remember? It's like a back and forth thing. That's kind of what I thought of when I saw this. This is like the teenage version of that.
Do you remember that game where you hold your palms
Oh, yeah.
up and the other person put their palms down on your palms, and then you try to
Yeah.
like slap the top of their hand, or you
Yeah.
try to dodge
Did that
it
have a
if you're the
name?
top person? That's what I thought of.
Oh, I wish I knew.
Slappy,
I don't know.
slappy.
I don't think it ever had a name. It never needed one. It's just a gesture. You like hold your hands out in a
It's
certain
called,
way, and people know it's on.
hand
You know.
slap or something? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly what Matt just
stranger.
did.
Or maybe somebody just gives you something, just like hands you a pie.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Won that game. Yeah, you
Slap
get
it.
slapped.
I pretty much covered all of my notes from my little list here. The only other thing was I wrote down, what's great about this movie is you don't see the monster. It's in the water. Like all
Yeah,
the
it
shots,
literally pops out of the water, I think, one time in the whole movie.
Like it's like the scariest shots were just when you didn't see it at all. I was the most scared. That
Yep.
was my like
Like
lesson.
most Jaws movies, the more you see the shark, the more you're like, that's
mean-
just a big toy
You-
shark.
You mean you weren't scared when it roared underwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, why
it,
did
like,
they have it
growled.
make noises? Why? Yeah, it did multiple times they did that, and I was like, sharks don't
Yeah.
have vocal cords
They
at
don't
all.
Like, it
need
was-
them.
It doesn't
It
even
was
work like
most
that.
effective in the in the beginning when you couldn't see it and you're cutting back and forth and like you're like, ooh, you know, and they're going in the water and you can't see it, but you know it's there. It's crazy how that works.
They had a couple of shots early on where the shark actually attacks, and they were like, you could tell they were cutting around not having the budget, or maybe cutting around not showing the shark as much. But it was even faker because it like didn't hit, the first couple times you do see it, it doesn't really have like the jaws aren't articulated. It doesn't actually close its mouth. It's just sort of like somebody's jabbing a toy shark at the camera. And then they're like quick cutting away from it. And I was like, oh God, is this going to be the whole movie? And then later on, it was like, okay, they have a giant shark that they're smashing into things. So that's good, I guess. It still
They're
looks
like
phony
the,
as
they're
hell,
like the
but-
first one works. Steven did it. It'll be fine. Let's just go with
yeah,
it.
just don't show as much.
Yeah.
I do think the shark looked its fakest that it's looked
Totally
in the
agree.
3 movies that we've seen so far. And the main one of the main shots is when the shark decides to attack the tunnels in the underwater
Yeah.
viewing area. What do you call
yeah.
that? What did they had a name for it? Whatever. When he decides to attack the tunnels and he's just ramming
gerbil
the little
tunnels.
tunnel, and it's like, yeah, it's very like physically doesn't look like
Yeah.
anything's actually
And,
underwater.
You know, then you question
or-
what is the shark's
yeah.
motivation? Is it trying to ruin Dennis Quaid's work?
Yeah.
Or, you know, like
How does
what
it
is
know?
the deal? Yeah.
What is going through its mind right there?
Yeah, what's its end game?
Or is it just trying to eat stuff on the other side of the glass? Does it not understand what glass is? I don't know. But
Right. And why does it decide to start? Why does it decide to stop? You know, if it was going to attack the tunnels at all, like, why wouldn't it keep going until it tore the whole place down? Yeah.
Yeah, I was blown away by the waterworks. I was like, okay, how did that meeting go down? The guy who's over the water's like, we need more money in this department. And then the shark team is like losing their money because the water was out of this world. It was like the shark hits the thing and then like
geysers of water.
geysers of water, and then in the climax it's like I was like, wow, that is not cheap. But then they've got like this artificial thing ramming in. I was like, okay, somebody won the budget battle on that. That's the only way to
Maybe it's
explain
just that it's
all of it.
easier to make fake
Yeah.
water than fake shark.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also not clear why Jaws doesn't fit through the window when he does partially fit through the window. And we see him, and it looks like he's smaller than the window.
I think a big problem with this movie is like they didn't know exactly how big the shark was, and they didn't stick to any particular. So in the end, when he's like got his head in the room and he's trying to eat them, he looks enormous. You know, he looks
Yeah.
like a monster. Yeah, but then there are some points when it's
50-foot
like
shark,
it looks
yeah.
like just a regular shark. And
When
or
he's
like,
fighting when he's fighting the British guy in the tube, he looks like he's a giant shark, but not the size of the shark that can't get through an observation window. You know.
yeah,
Maybe it's like the Hulk. He grows when he's angry.
They say that the shark at one point the shark is 35 feet, which would be about 10 feet bigger than the one in the first Jaws. But we also never get that shot that you have in the first movie, where there's a couple of shots where you see it in perspective, and I think in the second movie where you actually see like it's swimming underwater alongside a boat, and you're like, oh, that's how big the shark is. There's none of that in this movie because, like you said, it's changing from location to location.
My favorite shot There's no shark. It's the body when Dennis Quaid pulls back the cloth. Oh my gosh, and it was such a good moment. He pulls it back and then there's like the little like worm that crawls across the teeth. I was like, that is sick. And then Dennis like vomits or something.
Yeah. But he doesn't.
He
leans over towards the he leans over towards the railing and dry heaves, and I felt like they should really commit to him puking at that point. I don't know. But then also then when they whip the cloth off the body and they realize that the shark's much bigger and they both go running out of the room, that happens so fast and we don't even see what they're like. We don't even see what they see.
He's just a bloody stump.
It's just like random blood and guts, and they go running away, and you're like, "What are you running about?" And she's got her hands like this, and
it makes you question why they're running, because they're running with purpose because they know that the big shark isn't really dead. But it doesn't look like that's why they're running. It looks like they're running because, like, oh no, that was too weird and gross.
Did you guys ever take a class where you watch that movie? I think it's called Jail Safe. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like a old black and white movie, and they're all stuck in like a room similar to the room in this movie, and I was just like going along, and then I'm like, oh, they're gonna get stuck in there with the shark? Wow, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that would have been really cool if they did that.
Yeah, but the shark doesn't fit in that little room.
I think it could have been kind of cool if they were in the room and the shark was in the room, but the shark was so big it couldn't turn around. So then they just have to like keep on trying to avoid the mouth end of the shark. They can't get out, but
that's kind of what they did with the climax.
I feel like that could be the whole movie, though. I feel like it should just be like one of those like single room stories where like 5 people are stuck in a room with a shark that's just big enough to kind of turn around in the room.
That's what that film was.
I still want the story of the owner and his nephew.
We know he was the nephew because he called him nephew.
Well, yeah. We also know how that story ends with him saving the other lady and letting the nephew get eaten by the shark.
Oh, man.
My big beef with the shark is that it seemed so much slower in this movie. Like, I mean...
Oh, except when it's chasing water skiers, and then it's going like pretty much the speed of a speedboat.
That's true.
Yeah. Water skiers are like, could be faster than dolphins, couldn't they? The dolphins are really fast compared to the shark. The dolphins can drag a human being.
Yeah, it can keep up with a speedboat, but it can't. It's having trouble keeping up with a guy pulling himself on a rope through a tunnel.
Yeah. I also didn't like the part when like the little girl is like, "Daddy, look at the fish," and they're all in like the gerbil tube thing, and they all look and start running and screaming, and then the next shot is like the shark like so far away from the tube. Like, it must have been this big from their perspective. Why would you run from a shark when you're in a thing where like you're there to view sharks ostensibly, right? Like you're there to view these fish, you know, you're underwater. I don't know.
Shark had murder in its eyes.
The guy, okay, so is it the nephew inside the shark at the end? Like,
yes. No, that's it's a British guy who's actually like the nephew seems to get eaten, but then the British guy is still like sitting there with the grenade.
Like, hanging out in there. And do you guys remember there was that story of this guy that says that he was swallowed by a whale recently, and like people were like, that's not real. That's all I could think of when he was hanging out in the shark's mouth. I was like, wouldn't you be freaking out trying to get out? He's like, hey, what's up?
My impression was that guy was already... Wait, are you talking about the real story or the movie?
Both.
Either one.
Okay. Pick whichever one.
In the movie, my impression was like that was just part of him that like got lodged in the mouth, and the rest of him was deep in the belly of the shark.
But there is a protracted scene where he is trying to claw his way out. Like the shark has eaten him, and he is trying to get out of the shark's mouth. And all I could think was like maybe just chill there for a while and sneak out when it falls asleep or something. Because if you get out, like the only way out is to go through those fucking teeth again, and I would not want that.
Yeah. Safer inside.
He's floating around inside the shark, and it looks really soft and pillowy in there. And I was like, okay, this guy's gonna survive for a while, you know, until he gets his chance. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you just hear crunching sounds and see the bloody like mist, and he's dead. Yeah. I don't get how a blood cloud. Yeah,
the blood
I don't
cloud.
Really get how he died.
But Colin, what were you gonna say about the guy?
As for the real guy, you know, this actually goes with what we were saying. We don't know that guy didn't do it for pleasure.
I guess that's possible. This is something that
he just drives a boat out into the ocean, tries to find whales, and then like butters himself up with like what
He
do they
wants
eat?
to
Like
be eaten by
krill
whales.
or whatever.
It's interesting. Speaking of like new news, they just did some kind of like fluoroscopic X-rays or something of sharks' stomachs, and found that they have a spiral stomach, which is they think it serves like two purposes. One, it like slows digestion because the food has to make its way around there, which we know is a fact because Richard Dreyfuss said it in Jaws 1 that sharks take a long time to digest their food. And also that it is like it's a way of filtering water because the water has to run through the shark's body, but it's a way to make sure that it all moves in only one direction, which I thought was
Which means
interesting.
you could not growl.
Yeah.
There was a shot where like the what do you call the things on the outside of the shark? Like the
Gills.
yeah,
Gills?
maybe the gills. And I'm like,
Fins?
okay, something's gonna come out now, like a piece of clothing or like whatever, and it never did. But I thought that would have been cool.
They couldn't show the shark doing
I
too
agree.
much. It could pretty much like go forward and like bump into things, and that was about it. Oh, and it
Yeah.
would like smile every now and then, like its gums would
Yeah.
come, like.
It
curl
couldn't
up.
even close its mouth convincingly, so it's
Yeah,
I think
its
they
mouth
were,
was
they were
agape.
shooting around it a lot. Yep.
Have you ever had a
much.
movie that, like, I feel like I got really lucky because this one is so much to talk about. Have you ever had a movie that there's not a lot to talk about?
I usually feel that the better the movie is, the less we have to like nitpick about it because we all liked it.
Or we
you know?
just end up like blowing a movie for an hour and a half, which is not
Yeah,
as much,
exactly.
not as interesting to hear a bunch of people talk about how awesome a movie is without like really anything interesting to say about it. But yeah, sometimes the disasters are a lot more fun. This one, I mean, I feel like this had the potential. There was a point, as slow and boring as the beginning was, there was a point like a half hour in that I was like, this might be an Exorcist 2 thing where like, I'm digging this even though it's not great. And
yeah.
then it just kind of didn't lean into its weirdness and its badness enough, you know?
Yeah.
I
It
just
tried too hard to be good.
It's true.
it didn't try hard enough to be interesting, you know? It just didn't take enough big swings, you know? I feel like it had the potential.
The jet ski should
Yeah.
have come back for sure.
Yeah, it feels like a first-time director to me, like someone who was afraid to take chances, maybe someone who was leaning in a bit too much on the gimmick of 3D and thinking that he was going to coast on that.
Well, there's probably a reason for that because this is
Someone who had a lot of voices in their ear. Oh,
yeah. We should say the director is Joe Alves. I think I'm saying that right. Who his experience that got him this job was he worked as a production designer and he built the shark for the first Jaws, and
The first two,
maybe
I
the first
think.
Jaws, definitely the second Jaws, and he also worked on Close Encounters of the Third Kind and was the art director on that. He worked on Sugarland Express, so he'd worked with Spielberg a bunch of times. He also worked with John Carpenter a lot, and so he had a lot of experience as an art director, and I guess he sold himself as the right guy to take on a project that was this sort of visually intensive.
Or they were like, please direct this.
Yeah.
Right, they were like, everyone else has said no. Literally
please
every other
take this
person.
on.
You're the
in the world.
47th guy that we've asked. Please
Yeah.
say yes.
I'm going to have my 14-year-old grandson direct it if you don't say yes, and he has no experience.
Yeah.
Well, Harris, I don't know if you read this factoid, but originally the producers of the first two Jaws movies wanted to do this one as a spoof movie. They wanted it to be a National Lampoon's like joke movie because Animal House had just come out and it was like a big hit, and they were like, yeah, let's make it funny now. And they actually started working on it in pre-production, and then Steven Spielberg found out, and he was like, what the fuck? He's like, he didn't want them to like tarnish what Jaws was, you know? And so he put the kibosh on that.
They
and then
kind
were
of
like,
And-
like hovered over that. It was like
a little bit.
Yeah, seriously. Like, if he was worried about tarnishing the legacy of Jaws, he should have vetoed this, too.
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, this movie is written by the same writer of Jaws 1, Carl Gottlieb, I think his name is. I don't remember if he wrote Jaws 2 or not. But and then the other guy is Richard Matheson, who is like a huge sci-fi like novelist, writer, and he wrote for like Star Trek, and I think he wrote
And he wrote I Am
Terminator?
Legend, which he wrote I Am Legend, which became the Omega Man and the Will Smith movie. And he wrote Last Man on Earth, and
it's
a
good
lot of
writing.
other-
Like I'm not like yeah, they set it up. I mean, it's all there. All the beats are there. It's just how you decide to direct it.
I don't like that they use the same gimmick from the first one, where they think they've caught the shark that is attacking, and then they realize that shark is too small, and the shark that's
Same
attacking
gimmick.
is actually a big shark.
Good
That's
call.
the same thing as the first movie.
I don't know. I mean, you're right.
It's done a little
It is,
differently.
but I feel like the gimmick. I thought the gag was a great idea, and they kind of they didn't quite hook me, but there was this moment when they catch that shark, and I'm like, oh, what's gonna go? Because I've never seen this movie before. I was like, what's gonna go wrong here? First of all, I was like, a 10-foot shark. This is kind of watering it down for the Jaws movie. Maybe it's because they didn't want to get a bigger. They had like budget constraints. They're like, no, we'll give you a 10-foot shark. But like when they caught it, I was like, oh, this is gonna backfire on them because they shouldn't take this shark in. And then when the shark died, I was like, oh, okay, so that's not the real sharks. There's a better, So I put all the pieces together, but I feel like the potential is there. I feel like what we're saying is the ideas are okay. The storytelling is really where it's lacking, and it's a lot of times it's just the execution of some of these beats just falls in its face.
It's execution.
Also, that biologist, she really was in love with that shark. She was like,
Yeah, that
really into that
fake
shark.
in the little baby pool when he dies. I was like, I think my jaw was open the whole time. Like, I'm like, are we getting away with this right now? Like, wow.
Oh, poor little shark.
She's like holding it and crying in front of like 50 people. Like, oh my
like,
god,
Yeah.
the
this
shark
is-
is
this-
dead.
Yeah, they're like, what else does this park have?
Those little SeaWorld kids don't give a fuck.
And she's like,
So,
fully,
oh no, the shark died. Let's go look at are the dolphins still alive?
Do they have clownfish?
I like how fast that shark dies. Like, it's like, oh no, the shark's not feeling well.
Yeah.
Let's move it around the thing, and then like seconds later, it flips over.
and then she flips
Just-
it over. She
Yeah, she
literally
flips
like
it over
flips
onto
it
its
over, and she's like, oh
belly
no,
up.
it's dead.
Yeah.
It's like, you did that.
Oh no, it's dead. She flips the fake shark over and goes, oh
I was like,
no.
you flipped it over, bitch.
I
You
saw
killed
you.
it. I saw
All right,
you.
so not Bess Armstrong's finest performance.
Yeah, what happened to her? Did she go on to anything after this?
She was the mom in My So-Called Life, which you guys might be too young to remember, but maybe Anna does.
I actually looked her up because I was like, girl can sell anything. If you can sell that, you can do anything.
Yeah.
I was actually super impressed. And then at the end, the last shot, Dennis Quaid kept saying, "We made it, babe. We made it. We survived." And she's like, "But the others, yay, we made it!" Like,
No, I
Fuck
think
them,
he says.
we got away.
I think he says they made it too, but like I don't know how he knows that.
Everyone made it. Everyone's
Yeah.
alive. Even that guy who got eaten by the shark. Everyone's back.
yeah, it's 6 a.m. It's 6 a.m. in the morning.
What about
it's
their-
the sunset shot? We gotta
then they
pretend
have
like
these
everybody's
superimposed-
here.
The
The
superimposed
dolphins jumping up on either side. to
Freeze
get into
framed.
the frame.
I love it.
Yeah.
It jumps
Oh,
up
that
and
looks
she,
so
like,
bad.
She puts her
It looks
arms
so
out and
bad.
it's like, that is the money shot. And then she's like clapping. I was like, that is the money shot.
Here's an interesting fact. The lady dolphin, I can't remember what their names are, but
Cindy
the
and
lady
Sandy?
dolphin, yeah, so Cindy was actually played by a male dolphin who is still alive in captivity. He's 50 years old. Yeah.
What?
I think
Can we
he's like
see
in
him?
Cleveland or something at an aquarium.
Cleveland.
Speaking of which,
Get us tickets.
if anyone
What are
has
we
watched
doing here?
Blackfish, there was like some trauma there just watching the movie because I was like, these poor
Oh, yeah.
animals and like his poor little fin
Yeah.
tipped over, and we all
Yep,
know now
that was the
means
first
he's
thing I noticed.
He's depressed. I'm like,
That was the first thing I know. Have you guys seen Blackfish?
Yeah.
Because it's this documentary
Well-
about SeaWorld and the mistreatment of the orcas. And the whole thing was like when they're sad and depressed, their head fin things
just, like,
flop
flops
over to the
over.
side.
Dorsal fin.
Yes, dorsal.
Yeah,
is
and
very
every
good,
single-
dorsal fin.
Yeah, and literally all of the ones like that are in captivity, all of the orcas that are in
It's
captivity
so
all have
sad.
that. Like as soon as you cage it at all, it's
And
like
the first
I fucking
thought,
wanna
the
die.
first thought I had when you see the first thing you see is this orca who's being trained, who's just like got all the skills.
Yeah.
And the orcas always look like they're smiling, so you're like, oh, he's happy. But then having seen that movie, I'm just like, oh, look at his fin. Oh, this is sick. Oh, these people
Yeah.
are wrong.
yeah. And that's when I was like,
Did we not record the beginning when we were saying like SeaWorld would never do this now? Because,
No, we
like,
already covered that.
They already have enough bad press. They don't want to. Yeah, okay. All right. Good. Yeah.
Hold up, Colin. Before we say any more about this movie, should we summarize the plot?
Yeah.
I feel like we're
I guess
jumping
so,
all over the
'cause
place.
we're like an
need some
hour in
guidance.
already, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna do a great job.
Yeah, I know you're
but
not.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
I'm
Okay.
betting against
Basically, hot Dennis
you.
Quaid.
Yeah.
No, I'm
That's,
just kidding.
No,
well, hey, I'll tell you
the
what.
beginning of
if-
the movie is very sexy. Yeah.
if the movie had started off with hot Dennis Quaid, it would have made a lot more sense. We don't introduce our main character for like 10 minutes, 15
20
minutes
minutes
in.
or something.
Yeah, and then he actually doesn't actually make a decision relevant to the plot until the very end of the movie. So it's kind of amazing in terms of just like really nonsensical character development. But go ahead, Colin, take your best shot.
Here we go. Ready? On your mark, get set. Jaws 3.
All right, so Jaws 3 starts out with water skiers because water skiing is like really cool, and like we're basically at the height of water skiing, and they're skiing so hard, and they're like, oh yeah, we work for SeaWorld, and like the shark's down there, he's gonna kill them all, and we end up finding out that this SeaWorld is like the SeaWorld to end all SeaWorlds. It's got like the underwater viewing area and a giant lagoon that encapsulates everything. It's amazing. But there's a big gate around the giant lagoon, and Jaws sneaks in. The shark gets in there, and then we meet a bunch of like sexy young people who work at the SeaWorld, and there's jet skiing and more water skiing, and they go out to the bar, and Dennis Quaid is one of them, and Dennis Quaid's brother comes to town, and they do hugging, and then they go out to the bar to drink, and then he meets a hot lady who's a hot water skiing lady, and meanwhile Shark starts killing. Shark is killing the guy who's supposed to like work on the thing at the SeaWorld. The bartender, she's like, my boyfriend, he's missing. And SeaWorld kicks off, and they're all doing SeaWorld stuff, and like everything seems cool, but then it becomes pretty clear that there's a dead guy, and people have died. Also, a couple guys get killed that night they were at the bar because they were like snuck in or whatever. So anyways, Jaws starts killing, but they think they catch Jaws with these two British guys who come to make a film because they're there, and they're like, they're in the owner of SeaWorld's ear, and they're all just being ridiculous. And so they catch a shark, and then they try to put it on display, and then it dies, and then they find the dead body, and then they realize that that's not the right shark. So then the big shark comes out. He starts attacking. He attacks some people at the beach. He destroys the underwater caves, and he traps some people in a little room. And then Dennis Quaid, they try to trap him with the British guys. They try to trap the shark and fix the thing. Then the shark comes after them in the control room. And the shark pops its head in the control room, and then they grenade its head off because it ate one of the British guys who had a grenade in his hand. And then everyone's saved, and everything's fine. I went a little over time.
All right.
Woo! 2 minutes, 10 seconds.
Not bad. Not your
Yeah.
worst. And
10
I think you
seconds,
got all
not
the
bad.
major points. You didn't mention that these were the Brody boys.
Oh, yeah, damn it.
That was cool.
Damn it.
You also did mention everyone wants
Yeah,
to get
you didn't
laid.
mention that.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned that it was a sexy time at the beginning. Yeah.
I thought I implied a little bit that everyone's trying to get laid.
You did.
Sexy
Everyone's
time.
trying to
Did you
get laid.
did you guys catch in the beginning that the writing credit says that this movie was suggested by the novel written by Peter Benchley?
Yeah. I feel like Peter
Suggested.
Benchley would
It's not
suggest that that's
inspired
not
by.
true.
It's not adapted by. It's suggested.
Yeah.
Suggested.
Someone was like, I don't know, maybe the sharks at SeaWorld.
Yeah.
I suggest a lot of things.
I feel like
can't
that's
wait
like
to
the
get
like
lots
an
of
improv
credit for
comedy show
suggesting.
suggestion. Like, somebody give me something. A shark. Good. Okay.
SeaWorld,
Okay,
great.
Where?
Great.
Location. Yeah.
Yeah.
Horny teens, got it.
Sexy. Yeah. Horny teens. Water skiing.
It's really a makeout movie. That's what it was. That's where the 80 million came in at.
For sure.
Every teen boy wants a girl like clinging to him.
And at that
You know?
point, you're looking at like one of the greatest summer blockbusters ever made. B, a sequel that wasn't great, but wasn't a total embarrassment. People didn't know that this wasn't going to be a great franchise. People like in retrospect, we understand that Jaws was one good movie, and shittier, progressively shittier sequels. But at the time, they didn't know that maybe Jaws 2 was just a slight dip, and Jaws 3 was going to be fucking amazing again. So they went out there thinking, man, it's Jaws. You got to go see Jaws.
It's the precursor to Taken.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
Like, it's
That-
like The future is
It's
before
exactly
us.
that kind of movie where you just never know if. And how many times, like Mission Impossible, the second one is the worst one, and then they bounced back and they got better and better. Like so, it's you never know
Marathon.
if it's going to be a Taken or a Jaws or a Mission Impossible or like I don't know. And plus, this is the same. It's the
Or
same, like it's
Loki.
the whole Star Wars thing. You're getting better and better Star Wars sequels all the time. So I can understand why people went in with optimism that first weekend. And then I can also understand why that second weekend, all their friends told them, oh, no, man, don't bother. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I think this movie comes from a time when sequels were just known as cash grabs. I mean, they still are, but like people knew, going to see The Exorcist 2 or Jaws 3, that like these movies are not going to be good. But we're teenagers, like we're hoping to get a hand job during this movie. Like that's basically what's going on here. Nowadays, I feel like sequels are prestige. It's like, Batman Begins was good, but have you seen The Dark Knight? Like that's the real one right there. I'm trying to think of
You did have things like The Godfather and Star Wars that were sequels that clearly weren't cash grabs, that were, I mean,
Yes.
not
those
the
are
same.
some good exceptions.
Right, yeah. And still today, it's hard to tell if it's going to be a cash grab or a actual improvement.
Yeah, I don't want to digress into like what are the best hand job movies. So I did you
I
guys?
think that's a great
Weird,
list.
Colin. Okay, whatever.
No,
Colin, you're
Go,
supposed to.
Colin.
You're
You have
supposed to
2
yes and us
minutes.
here.
2 minutes of hand job movies.
Let's go. And
No, I was gonna say I really like how the what's Dennis Quaid's girlfriend's name? The character or
Kay.
the actress? I don't remember. Kay.
Best.
Oh, yeah,
I like
she's
how
so
she's
cute.
clearly the
Yeah.
smart one. Like she's the marine biologist.
Yeah.
But I was a little confused about what their romantic plot line was. They're gonna run away to like where did they say South America or something? I forgot.
Venezuela.
Venezuela, yeah.
Venezuela
Like
is gonna
what?
speak Espanol.
Well, I can explain that. He was offered a job in Venezuela engineering something, and she had 6 months left in her SeaWorld contract and then had another giant job lined up for a year after that. So they were basically not going to be able to see each other for a year and a half. And
Oh, I thought
We really need to talk about this. We need to talk about what's
Yeah.
going on.
yeah,
What you told
they had to
her.
get serious about that. Like, are we doing the long distance relationship? Because that's the other thing too. They're not married, but they're clearly in a serious committed relationship. So like, are they going to
Yeah.
spend a year and a half apart, or are one of them going to give up their career to go with the other one? Which was kind of like, yet again,
So-
Yeah.
another subplot that might have been interesting had they spent any time actually, developing it and making it into something.
Wait, but the resolution of this plot is that they're both so traumatized by shark attacks that they're just gonna go to Venezuela to have fun.
I mean, I imagine he'll still work.
We don't know where they go after the end.
Yeah.
After she throws her
I
arms up
think
at
they
the
go to
dolphin.
live
We
with the
don't know.
dolphins. I'm pretty sure they just run away with
Yeah, they
I
become
want
fish.
I want answers. They turn
Well, she
into
says she's basically giving up her life to follow him for a year and a half. But then after that, he says, "I'll follow you anywhere. Like I'll reciprocate."
Aw.
Yeah.
but nowhere near the water.
True love.
Which is going to be tough
The
for him.
hand job turns into true love.
Yes.
I totally lied. My favorite shot is not the slivering whatever in the mouth on the dead body. It's actually Dennis Quaid at sunset leaning against the post, and he's like, "Hey, babe,
Yeah.
looks like I'm gonna have to speak Spanish."
Yeah.
And he's just like perfectly lined up with the frame and his I was like, ooh, pro.
Yeah.
That's a pro move right there.
I like that scene. It's a good scene.
He does a lot of jumping in this movie. He jumps into the tank when she's like manhandling the shark. When he like is running to save people who are in the lagoon or whatever.
You're so
yeah,
right.
He's flying high.
Yeah.
I mean, he can
Oh,
do anything. The
and-
man can feel no pain.
He jumps in with the shark. He's like, get out of here. I'm gonna help her with the shark. And she's like, oh, you've never helped
And
me
when
work
they're
Yeah.
before.
when they're on the platform
This
and
is
she
very-
surfaces after they tranquilize the baby shark, he for no reason he jumps in the water to push her up the stairs,
Yeah.
fully clothed. He's just about showing his commitment by jumping into things fully clothed. That's his love
This
language.
is when
I was like,
is
wow,
just
that's
just
that's
jumping into water fully
expensive.
clothed is how he shows affection.
I kept thinking about whether or not anyone had wallets in their pockets.
I was thinking the same thing. Like the first time somebody jumped in the water fully clothed, I was like, "Whoa, cell phone!" And I was like, "Oh no, didn't have them." But then I was like, "Still wallet."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was like, ooh, if they want to shoot that again, they got to do a reset. That's a lot.
Yeah, you work too much.
They get a water bump every time they get wet. They get like an additional like $25 for the day or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's normal to every time somebody jumps into the water fully clothed in a movie, I always am like, I don't. That's not a first option or a second. Like this is even if somebody decides they have to do this, there's a lot of regret going on because your shoes are soggy, your wallet. Even if you remember to take your phone out of your pocket or it's a time before cell phones, this is fucking up your whole day now. You know, like you're gonna be damp and soggy.
Does wardrobe have all the backups? Because like that shit ain't cheap. I'm telling you.
I feel like.
ain't.
And if you have to sit around in those wet clothes, you're gonna get like the whole. It's just not going to be a good,
I feel like the
situation.
movie
You get a
asks us
rash
to believe that SeaWorld employees are ready to do that at any time, and like they maybe don't wear underwear, do not ever have anything in their pockets, and they just go for it like at any time because that's like.
There's a T-shirt that says SeaWorld employees are always wet.
Speaking of T-shirt, Colin, what was that T-shirt that you spotted?
Oh my god! So you didn't like see it when you were watching, or did you?
I did.
It was really hard to notice. You saw it?
It goes by
Harris,
very
you didn't?
quickly. Yeah.
Okay, so Anna, when they're all trapped in the little room, right? And they get out of the little room, they all like run out of the little room. A guy runs by and he's like far right of the camera, and he's wearing a shirt that says, "I let gargoyles sit on my face." And like I had to pause it and like rewind it.
Wait,
and, like,
Colin, I need to know the story. Like, you spotted the word gargoyle, and you were like, oh, what did his shirt say? Or, like, what was your thought process with this whole thing?
I saw gargoyle and sit. And then I realized the phrase was sit on my face. And I was like, what am I seeing? I was like,
Oh shit!
I was
I gotta
in disbelief.
rewind this.
So I did some research. I did some Googling. And apparently there is a sunglasses company called Gargoyles, like sunglasses,
Oh.
right? And in
Yes.
the 80s, they made merch
Yes.
T-shirts that said, "I let
Yes,
gargoyles
merch.
sit on my face." And these shirts like don't exist anymore. Gargoyles has since changed their logo, and their marketing is a little more serious. Yeah,
Less edgy.
But these shirts
I love how you're
existed.
like, I went and did research. I Googled it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me 4 seconds.
Well, I went pretty deep. I found every instance where like this shirt could be seen again, like on the internet, and like it's.
He's like, I went deep, guys. Like, I was up till 2.
I know. I should
But I'm
have.
pretty sure I'm a gargoyle
I now own stock in
aficionado.
gargoyle sunglasses.
I should have called them.
I'm the foremost gargoyle expert on Wikipedia.
I want to call their customer service hotline and be like, how can I get you to remake these shirts again? And they'll be like,
No, that would like go big.
oh my god.
All you need is just
Well,
like a little flame and woo.
so I found that like 1 or 2 other people had noticed that this shirt exists in this film, Jaws 3, and they put it on like Twitter or whatever. I also found on a was it like Flickr? You know, the Flickr is like how you like archive or put online your like just photos that you've taken, right?
Photos, yeah.
Yeah, there was an old Flickr photo where a guy was wearing this shirt just like in the background of a photo. And the one other place I found it was an Etsy store sold an actual vintage one like as a reseller, and it was already sold out. I couldn't buy it, so that was
Oh,
unfortunate.
man.
I thought you were gonna
got a
say. I
theory.
thought you were gonna say the last one was a chick. She was wearing it.
Oh, in the
and then we
Etsy
started
seller?
Talking online,
Oh.
and then we
we're married.
totally hooked up, and now we're gonna get married.
Like, I wish that happened really bad. I really do. That would be a great story.
I've got a theory, and my theory is that there's only one shirt. that the whole company only made one of these shirts, and that it happened to be worn by both an extra in a movie, some guy on a Flickr photo, and then was sold in an Etsy store later. And it's like the Forrest Gump of novelty T-shirts. It's just at every major
It's like
event
the traveling
of the 20th
pants,
century,
the story of the traveling pants or whatever. But it's the traveling gargoyles,
exactly.
like sit on my face.
I think
shirt.
it was really a thing. Like, it reminds me of those old school Oakleys. Like, I feel like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they kind of look like Oakleys.
Remember it. Yeah, and I think your long lost love might be out there.
Yeah. Well, there's two great stories here. Me falling in love about the gargoyles sitting on a face shirt, and also the shirt being, the shirt having its own story. Although, like, the one in the Flickr photo was a black with white font, and the one in the movie was different. Also, the one in the movie was worn by, like, a big beefy guy, and the one that the Etsy sellers sold was worn by, like, a small woman. So I don't think they're all the same shirt. But I like that idea, Harris.
Colin, you've really impressed me. I've only known you, an hour? Less than an hour. And I feel like I could call you up for anything and you will figure it out.
Serious researcher. That's what's written all over his face.
And we have to point out that oftentimes our guests are enamored with Colin. They all fall in love with him, and he points it out to us all the time. He's like, the guest was really vibing with me. Like they liked everything I had to say. It's really true. I mean,
yeah,
he just works in this avenue over Zoom.
There are other times when everyone, including us, is completely baffled by Colin. He's been on his best behavior today. There hasn't been a single dumb pun that nobody understood.
Oh, no. I'm saving him for the end.
I get you, Colin. I totally get you.
It's not an uncommon takeaway for some reason. I want to talk about Dennis Quaid a little more because I couldn't figure out. I spent this entire movie trying to figure out how old he was when he did this, which was like 28, and B, trying to figure out like where in his career he was, which was honestly kind of right at the beginning. Which I thought was really, really strange. I never would have.
Well, I did the same thing. I was like, wait. Did Jaws 3D launch him?
Wait, are you saying...
I was all about it. I was like, I gotta look this shit up.
Wait, Harris, are you saying that he made this movie when he was a rookie?
There we go. First pun of the night.
Here we go. All right. It's like almost not even a pun because you're just saying the name of one of his movies. But, he made this movie. Like I said, he was in his almost 30 when he made this. It's actually funny because his big breakout came this same year, but in a different movie. It was The Right Stuff. He played one of the astronauts in The Right Stuff, and that's kind of what got him a lot of work in the 80s. But he had actually been working like he was like the second or third lead in Breaking Away, which was an Oscar-nominated film, about small town guys growing up in I think Ohio. And he was in a movie called The Long Riders, which I don't know if I've ever mentioned on this podcast before, but it's such a bizarre movie. Let me just tell you, this is going to be a little bit of a digression, but the famous action director Walter Hill made this movie called The Long Riders. It was an old Western, and it was about all these... I don't know what came first, if the casting came first or if who was going to be in the movie came first, but it was a movie about all these sets of real life cowboy outlaw brothers. So you had like Frank James and Jesse James, you had Cole Younger, Jim Younger, Bob Younger, you had guys named Ed Miller and Clell Miller, Robert and Charlie Ford. So these are all like pretty famous outlaws, but the gimmick was he got them, they were all played by actual siblings. So James Keach and Stacy Keach played Jesse and Frank James. Dennis Quaid and Randy Quaid played Ed Miller and Clell Miller. Christopher Guest, and I didn't even know Christopher Guest had a brother, but his brother Nicholas played the Ford
you know who
brothers.
Nicholas Guest is? He's the next door neighbor from Christmas Vacation. Remember Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
Oh,
wow.
shit. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, my God. And there's a family resemblance. Wow. And then the Carradines, three Carradines played the three younger brothers, which is like such a bizarre... I mean, it's not a very good movie, but it's such a bizarre casting choice.
Can you imagine that round table? They're like, yeah, let's actually cast real siblings. They're like, this is brilliant. Props to them, dude. That's amazing.
I think it's more amazing too that many of those brothers weren't terribly famous when that movie came out, and yet they all, like, we all know who Christopher Guest and Dennis Quaid and Randy Quaid are in the Carradines, and a lot of them were nobodies when that movie happened. So good job by not only casting brothers, but casting brothers who are actually pretty talented, because that movie didn't launch anybody's career, and yet.
Well, you know.
Well, I'm telling you, Quaid, he got launched by the jet ski move, the legs.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
I think that contributed.
That was the moment where I was like, I'm in. He's gonna work for the rest of my life.
Well, I kept watching this movie and looking at him and thinking like, I don't know if you know who Jack Quaid is. I know Harris knows who he is, but Dennis Quaid's son is an actor now. He's on like The Boys on Amazon Prime. And he's in a
great movie called Plus One, an excellent romantic comedy that's, I mean, I think pretty brilliant, starring Jack Quaid and Maya Erskine. I encourage
Isn't that the one you
everyone
helped
to see
produce
it.
or whatever?
You guys are talking about romantic comedies. That's so cute.
Harris made that movie with his own blood, sweat, and tears.
I was an EP on that one, so very
Did you
very happy
produce
with
that,
that
Harris?
I was one of many producers on that one, but and not one of the most important ones, but definitely.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm so impressed. You guys are into rom-com.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah. I was messaging them about rom-coms the other day because I tried to watch a movie called A Guy Thing and I couldn't watch the whole thing, so I watched Midnight in Paris instead, and I think I told them about it.
Oh, Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Edgy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Controversial.
If you guys ever do a rom-com, you have to invite me back.
Oh, for sure.
What are some rom-com franchises?
Oh, the After, the Before Sunset, and After Sunset, or whatever those
I've been
movies.
wanting to watch those.
Oh, well, I don't know if those are rom-coms.
Those are more like romantic.
They're more like
roms.
roms.
That's a good franchise.
Yeah, roms.
They're roms.
Yeah, just roms. Rom-droms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you put it on a DVD, it becomes a CD-ROM.
Have you ever seen The Holiday?
Yeah,
Yes.
with Jack
So
Black.
I
Yeah,
had
I have,
never
yep.
seen that movie until this Christmas. I know that's really bad. And I loved it so much. I thought it was a perfect script. I bought the poster and hung it up in my movie room.
It's a pretty good movie.
That's
I don't
how
like
much
the
I loved
British people in it. No.
Yeah, Colin hates British people, as we all know.
Gee, Colin,
No,
I
I'm
guess
just
I can't take you to London with me.
I've been there.
Oh no,
No, it's not that bad.
See,
why he
Colin
hates
is
British
so much in my favor that I want to take him to London.
Yeah, let's
Wow.
go.
Colin, you're going places.
Let's go. Let's research sunglass companies
Finally.
and their merch.
After you guys go jet skiing together.
Colin,
Yes.
No, we're
Colin's
going
big
surfing.
break.
He can do all the things,
Yeah.
so he'll surf.
He can do all the different kinds of surfing.
He's like, guys, by the way, like, I've done them all.
Yes.
I've done them all.
I've done everything.
I have.
I've done it all. Any kind of
He's
skiing.
like, I just haven't kicked off the one ski, but other than that, I've done it all.
I almost kicked off the one.
Yeah, I
ski.
haven't done. There's certain tricks that I haven't done.
I used to be able to jump over the wake on the wakeboard. I could jump over, but only on the heel side, not on the toe side.
I don't doubt it, Colin. I've known you now a full 60 minutes, and I don't doubt it.
Matt's expression and shaking his head the way he is.
I just expect it at this point now.
I'm 2 glasses into Chardonnay, well, maybe 3. So,
That helps.
Well, you're at the sweet spot.
yeah,
then.
I'm in the
Yep.
sweet spot.
That helps with the Colin relationship, for sure.
Colin's suddenly looking more attractive. No, I'm kidding. Fine.
No, it would take way more than 3 glasses.
Oh no!
Oh! I only need 1 glass, Colin. Don't worry.
Thanks, but you still do need the one glass.
Yeah, yes.
But I appreciate it.
I always need the 1 glass just to function.
Yeah, you know, it's you gotta. It's tough to break the ice with people, you know. You gotta.
I went to USC. What do you expect?
loose.
PTSD.
Yeah.
But just to finish my thought from before about Jack Quaid, I can't believe how much he looks like Dennis Quaid, but Dennis Quaid is like so much better looking. It's like it's mind-boggling that they look so similar but like so different, if that makes any sense. Like I was looking at Dennis Quaid's face, and I'm like, if you just move the nose like a little bit there, and like push the cheeks together or something, like
narrowed the jawline a little bit and like made everything skinnier.
Yeah.
That's Jack. And made the hair like poofier.
Okay, I'm
and that's
Googling
Jack.
this shit. I gotta see this right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jack's one of those guys that he's like a really handsome guy in person, very charming, like super confident. He's super nice to everybody, just like, and he like remembers people's names. Just like can't say enough good things about him. But you're absolutely right. He is like a skinny kind of, narrowed out version of his dad. Like I do the same thing. Like the facial expressions and stuff are all so similar, and yet they do look
Dennis
totally
Quaid
different
is just
in
such
a
a
lot of ways.
leading man. He's got like a good like body for a leading man, and whereas Jack Quaid is
Yeah.
he's the geeky sidekick. He's like
He's built for comedy.
built for comedy, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at his side by side, and I forgot that his mother is Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Ooh.
And
What about City of Angels? Speaking of, that's not a comedy though. That's kind of a comedy rom-com. Is City of
Are
Angels?
you are you
I
talking
would say
about
no.
the next
I-
movie we're going to talk about? Colin, are you inviting me? Are we going on a date?
we could if we were gonna do remakes, we could do that's not a franchise, but it's a remake of what's it called? Wings
Oh,
of
it is?
Desire.
Oh, really?
Better movie.
City of Angels had that soundtrack.
It doesn't have Nicolas
though.
Cage in it, but
Yeah, Goo Goo Dolls.
yeah, the Google Dolls. Yeah,
That song is good.
And I don't want the world to. What are the?
I don't want the world to see me because I don't think that they'd
To see me.
understand.
Look at he knows everything. Colin.
he's like a human Google, checking all the boxes.
His girlfriend's probably going to be like, "What?"
I'm single right now.
Yeah, maybe she'll come back.
Oh!
Why? Why you do this?
Colin, how old are you?
I know.
Give me that shit right now. How old are you?
I'm 36.
Oh.
What does that mean? I don't know why you asked.
I suddenly have to go.
Who are we doing for top 4 now, Matt? Now that I've ruined Leah Thompson, because I was gonna talk about Dennis Quaid's career a little more, but I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah,
if
let's
we're
do
gonna-
Dennis
if we're gonna
Quaid.
have him.
I have him up, and I have Leah. We can still try Leah Thompson. I feel like we can work it, but
Okay.
let's do Dennis Quaid and see how that goes.
Let's do Dennis.
All right,
Quaid.
so Anna, this is a bit that we do called Top 4, where we play a game. We each take turns guessing one actor at a time. You're trying to guess the top 4 films of Dennis Quaid according to IMDb. You ever go to IMDb and they show you like 4 movie posters? That's what we're trying to guess right now for Dennis Quaid. And so there is no basis for their selection of movies. It's not by box office gross. It's not by popularity. Like, we don't know why they choose these movies, which makes it fun.
It's all dumb.
Okay,
Yeah.
do I get to go first?
Yeah,
Who
just
gets to
guess.
go
Just
first?
guess one movie.
Because I want to beat. My goal in life is to beat Colin. Okay, you ready?
All right.
Can I name a movie that isn't out yet?
Oh, well, you could name it, but it's not going to be right.
Yeah.
Reagan.
Wrong.
Nope.
Did you?
Colin, I know you want to go.
We're doing Dennis Quaid?
Yeah.
The Rookie.
Wrong.
Hello, Colin.
I like that Colin often goes and then guesses something that he's really happy about that I was going to guess.
And then it's
like The
always
Rookie,
wrong.
And then gets it wrong, and then I don't have to guess it. It always works out great for me. I'm going to go with, this is kind of a gamble, but I'm going to go with Far From Heaven.
Correct.
Come on.
Far From
I
Heaven.
have another one. Can I go again, or am I out?
It's your turn.
Yes, it's your turn.
Okay. I went on a date with a guy during the pandemic at my house. Does that count? And we watched a movie called 10 Cup.
Oh, he's not in
Is
that.
that Dennis Quaid?
No, that's Kevin Costner.
Wrong.
Oh,
Close.
I like that movie.
Kevin Costner.
that was Kevin Costner. Shit.
That's a
Sorry,
rom-com.
guys.
Kevin Costner. And I was almost, I was thinking about guessing For the Love of the Game.
That's also
but
Kevin
then I was like, no,
Costner.
that's Kevin Costner also.
Wow, isn't it crazy how the brain just like
They're pretty much
yeah.
the same guy.
Right?
They got the same. Let's say this.
They're the same build. They were popular at the same time.
They got the same vibe too. They're like down home, all American.
Yes,
Costner's
yes,
better.
yes.
I would pick Costner any day though. No offense to Dennis.
Nobody asked you to pick Colin.
No one asked you to
Everyone
pick.
just wants to know what's your second wrong. Everyone just wants your second wrong
G.I.
Dennis Quaid
Joe.
movie guess.
Wrong.
Ooh.
That was a nice pull,
Oh,
but
wow.
a wrong guess.
He's the general.
All right. I feel like I should go with something older, but I also feel like IMDb has a recency bias. I'm gonna go with what's the one, the Jake Gyllenhaal
No,
on
no,
the Day After
Yeah, that is what
Tomorrow?
it's
Is
called.
that the name?
That was
of it?
my guess though.
That's
Damn
it.
it! I was gonna
Correct.
use that.
All right. Unfortunately, we're in the hint round, which means you guys might have a chance of catching
Yes.
up to me.
Okay, so there are 2 movies that remain. Okay. Do you want a different hint for each one, right?
Just do.
Yes.
I would say just one hint.
Okay, one of them's really hard. I don't know if you guys will know it, so I'm just gonna say that the co-star of this movie is. Hold on. There's 2 co-stars. One of them I think will give it away.
So
Other
pick
I
that
have
one.
to double check, but I.
Is it Meg Ryan and Martin Short? Because that was going to be my next guess.
Oh, I have one. It came to me.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me give you the hint. So the co-star in this is Scarlett Johansson.
What the hell?
Oh.
That's just one. The other movie.
Oh, I know this one.
Oh, you know it?
Oh, I just thought of a movie that he's in, so I don't know. If
no,
it
maybe I
works.
don't.
Okay. It's
Well, say your guess. It's a Dennis Quaid movie.
Wyatt Earp.
Go.
no, that's Kevin Costner again.
Wrong.
It's Kevin Costner again.
No. Dennis Quaid played
Oh,
Doc
you did,
Holliday.
okay.
In it.
Oh,
You're
there
right,
you go.
you're right.
In fact, he developed anorexia. He developed an eating disorder, losing weight to play Doc
Does
Holliday.
he
in
still
that.
have the eating disorder?
And was also at the height of his cocaine dependency. I think at that point.
Wow, I love how you know all these things. Gee, Harris.
We do a lot of Googling for 5 seconds. We do a lot of research.
I've always been a Dennis Quaid expert. I don't know what you're talking about. Colin, your turn.
I forgot what my guess was.
Was Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, is Ghost in the Shell? I don't know. Is that right? Is he in that?
Wrong.
No.
Scarlett Johansson's in that.
You guessed Ghost in the Shell last time too.
Always guess it.
For Scarlett
It's-
Johansson.
I've never seen it.
It's the only Scarlett Johansson movie he knows.
I'm so not a cinephile. It's really bad. I'm so sorry.
All right.
I thought she was maybe the female lead in Good Company, but that doesn't actually make any sense.
No, it
Yeah.
makes a ton of
that
sense because
it?
that's the movie.
Oh.
Damn.
In Good Company.
Oh my God. Okay.
Topher
with Topher
Grace.
Grace.
You're
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
You're
yeah.
killing it.
Well, I didn't think I was right on that one. But
All right, I'll give you guys
All
another
right,
hint.
So another hint.
We only
Okay.
have one more, right?
Right.
One more,
Yep.
and I'm gonna give a hint that both of these guys are gonna know it right away. But Anna, I'm counting on you. This is a movie that we just watched like a week ago for our bonus Patreon
okay,
show.
yeah.
It's
I'll give her a little more.
yeah, it's a movie that involves like time travel of a sort. So it's kind of like a sci-fi thing, but it's like got heart and
father-son relationships.
There's a CB radio in
yeah.
it.
Was he in Dog's Purpose?
No, that's not.
I
That's
don't
not
know.
what we're talking about.
But that's not
I
sci-fi.
think he was actually, but that's not going to
That's
Wrong.
not right, but I think he is in that movie.
The movie is Frequency
Oh.
with Jim Caviezel.
Jim Caviezel.
But we watched Frequency instead of watching Enemy Mine, that has both Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. in it. If only we had known.
Yeah, did we talk about Louis Gossett Jr. enough for this movie?
Who is he? Is he the brother?
I
Who's Louis
don't know.
No, he's the boss. He's the guy who owns the
Oh,
park
okay.
or runs the. He's like
He's
He's
thank
Ron
you. That's what I
Washington.
was about to say. I only know him as Ron Washington because he looks like former manager for the Texas Rangers, Ron Washington.
Gosh, I feel like I've seen Frequency. Remind me.
It starts out with
It's Oh, yeah, give the
yeah.
2-minute summary.
It's a great title.
It's,
I almost.
It's about a father and son who the father dies. He's a fireman. He dies in a fire, and then through some magic Aurora Borealis bullshit, they are able to communicate with each other through time over a ham radio. And then he prevents the dad from dying in the fire, and then they have to solve a murder, and it's a good,
time.
high concept,
Yeah.
high concept sci-fi thriller with a real good central heart narrative with the father-son relationship.
Yeah, so there's no actual time travel, but they are able to communicate from one time period to another. So he can give him information and stuff. It's pretty cool.
And so, let me get this straight. Colin, you do not know who Louis Gossett Jr. is?
Well, now I do. I did know.
He's the guy from Jaws 3.
I've seen him in other things.
Is he from Officer and a Gentleman? Is that his big movie?
Yes, that's right. And so he was a stage actor. He was a big stage actor, and he actually didn't he didn't have his breakout until he was I think maybe in his 40s or late 30s, and it was in 1982 in An Officer and a Gentleman. And
he followed
Jaws
it up
3D,
with this movie?
Jaws 3D was what he picked for his follow-up.
And he won the Academy Award for that movie, didn't he?
I think so, yeah. Academy Award, Golden Globe, all sorts. He won everything for that movie.
Oh, my God.
And then he followed it up with Jaws 3D, and he loved working with, he must have loved working with Dennis Quaid so much that they made Enemy Mine together a couple years later. And then he was in Iron Eagle. He had a really good run of stuff for 3 or 4 years, and then he just kind of he was one of the prestige high quality actors of the first half of the 1980s, and then just did crap for the rest of his career pretty much, which is weird. But
the second half of the 80s, the lead actor was Gilbert Godfrey.
I can't I honestly, I'm trying to look through his filmography. I can't find another good performance he had in his career after 1985.
He's the drill
really
sergeant from Officer and a Gentleman, right? Yeah. That's
he played opposite Richard Gere, and it was I think he's a talented actor just based on the great performances he gave in a few movies, but it's hard to make that claim when he really has been in just maybe he started focusing on the stage more, but it seems like he worked pretty consistently.
He now owns and operates gargoyle sunglasses.
That's it. He opened up a SeaWorld franchise. Yeah. He was like, well, I played the part. I got it really into character, and I wanted to keep orcas in captivity.
Orcas.
Now that you mentioned Richard Gere, he's almost a rom-com franchise in himself. That's
the Richard Gere, Julia Roberts ones are kind of is that a trilogy?
Him and Dermot Mulroney, who I just worked with on Deadly Illusions.
Mm-hmm. They look alike, right? Or no, it's Dermot Mulroney and
Dylan McDermott.
Dylan McDermott, that's it.
Dylan McDermott, yeah.
Both white guys with dark hair, but Dermot Mulroney is better in my opinion.
Dermot
no offense
is
to Dylan McDermott.
A G. He's so amazing.
I've always thought that they should be genetically spliced together
He
to
seems
make
cool.
Dylan McDermott Mulroney. Dylan McDermott Mulroney. In this episode of Star Trek Voyager, they have a transporter malfunction where two characters become one character.
It's so Colin.
Yeah.
She knows already what it's so called. That's completely right. And also, oh my God, Colin.
Colin is the linchpin. He's the glue that holds this podcast together.
He's in Star Trek? Let me just bring... Oh, by the way, I'm a Trekkie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't you tell just by looking at it?
Well, at the beginning, okay, I'm not gonna lie. There's something going on in his room, and it's purple and orange.
Oh,
and
yeah.
His face is changing
No,
colors.
it's actually maybe I can show you. Hold on.
Ooh, have you guys ever thought about recording your video?
Put your pants on, man.
You should let your videos play.
Yeah, because this is classic stuff.
Oh yeah,
right
this
here.
is what the
See
people
the bottom
want to
of
see.
Colin's fucking lamp.
He's got
Oh
a
my God.
trick light bulb, you guys.
Hold on, let me see if I can turn it off. Where's the switch?
First of all, I think if our listeners actually had to see us, they would probably stop listening. I don't know that we're not exactly camera ready.
No,
for
I
these
think
things.
you guys are adorable. You should.
This kind. So it's the kind that's supposed to look.
Wow, he's got fancy light bulbs too. Colin wins all the points tonight.
But
wonder if any of that was
it's
set
not
into his
yeah
life.
okay so it's not like it's not a fancy light bulb though. It's just one of those light bulbs that's made to look like an Edison light bulb, but whatever about this like 2012 iMac or MacBook camera picks it up as different colors. It's not changing colors, but the MacBook like can't.
Oh wow.
Oh,
The
wow.
MacBook can't understand this like
That's cool.
Target brand fake Edison light
can't-
bulb. Yeah. I'm gonna plug it back in now.
Wow. Okay. That was cool.
Okay.
I just got a little idea.
Interesting. Well,
Interesting.
you learn something new every day,
So-
I guess.
He also has a purple light in his back corner. I'm like so curious.
That's- yeah,
I'm like,
that's
I need
the-
the Colin like tour.
Colin, can you give us a
I need
tour
to
of your-
see-
All
I need
right,
to see
hold on.
I need to see the whole thing now. I'm
start-
like,
You got to
Colin.
take your mic with you.
I'm
though.
coming. I got the mic now. Okay, let's start in the. I'm gonna walk backwards up my
Oh my gosh!
stairs.
And
Great.
by the way, in case you guys don't know what Colin looks like, he has like long hair. He looks like Jesus, but not.
Yeah.
Don't think like that.
That's what they say.
Because Jesus wasn't white.
So we got Good Guys food and water stuff here. That's the first thing, and then we got my desk. It's really messy.
Oh, he feeds his animals.
Yep, feed them. They stay alive. This is my desk.
What's that spooky ghost thing you have there?
Oh, that's where I
That
put.
desk is. Oh my gosh! You have a boombox.
Oh yeah, I got it all.
Who are you?
So this is my record player
Who
that plays
are you?
cassettes right here with the there. I just got that, and then
You have a cassette player.
and then I got a CD player and this Bose Wave radio back here that's underneath the boombox.
So you
Man
could play
of my
CDs, cassettes,
dreams.
and
Yeah, CDs.
records, although all on
CDs,
different
records, and
products.
cassettes. And then let's see here.
Do you live?
Got
Do
some
you
Where's
live
your yoga
alone?
studio? Take us
No,
to the
I have-
yoga.
I have
Take us to
three
the
yoga
yoga
You live
studio.
alone?
No, I have 3 roommates. All right, so
Oh.
this little area here,
He literally
Yeah.
lives in the attic.
this is where I was
Is
sitting.
it hot up there?
Yeah, I'm hot as balls. I'm like sweating a little bit.
Especially because we can't have the AC on where
This is where I do my stretching, my yoga stretching. I stretch out there.
Oh, he does yoga.
These are my disco balls.
And there are the balls that he's hot as.
He's got balls. Oh my gosh, you've got a big ball and you've
He's got huge
three,
balls, misshapen but huge.
and they're like
Let's see Colin's giant
they're
balls.
metallic.
This is my shelf of stuff.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like
very
a lot
shiny.
of DVDs and books and cameras and stuff like that. And then
Just like Harris.
yes, Harris has way more DVDs though. And then I got these little like the Japanese wall things, like partitions.
Wow.
And then that leads back into the bedroom area where there's
Oh, this is where the magic
Where,
happens.
I
where
There's my
the
bed.
I
magic
feel
happens.
so lucky to see your whole place.
and then I got my mandala tapestry over here. This is really difficult to like make the camera.
What is
There we go.
wait, what is that for meditation?
Yeah, it looks pretty too. And then my bathroom's over here. This is my University of North Texas green Texas flag right here. So that's where I went to school.
Wow. State spirit.
Yeah. Well, it's really more school spirit. And then this door goes to a bathroom.
He keeps on insisting that we don't mess with Texas, but we
He
do.
has state spirit, ladies. Like, jump on this
Yeah.
right now. He's in the attic. He doesn't share with anyone. Free reign.
I got my own bathroom. I got
No,
you,
that's
you come over here,
Right.
you can use the toilet.
And he's got his own bathroom. That's all that a lady
Yeah,
needs.
and believe me, you do not want to use the public bathroom because it looks like something that's like
Oh,
at
the
a
other
state park or
bathroom?
something. You don't want to use the
Yeah, it's
the
bad.
other bathroom. Yeah, it's not
There's
good.
like graffiti on the tile.
No, it's not that bad.
There's like junkies shooting up in there.
Junkies.
Well, we couldn't tell him to leave.
Homeless people squatting.
Dennis Quaid's in there doing cocaine constantly.
Aw, poor guy.
Yeah.
Well, Colin, I feel so privileged. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That was an honor.
Yeah, this is
that
our
was,
first podcast tour of.
Is this gonna
of
be in
Colin's
the
apartment.
you may have just given us a reason to become a video podcast.
I
I hope the listeners appreciate it.
literally don't know you guys, but I feel like I know you so well now, Colin.
Yes.
I get you.
Yeah. I mean, I just
get you.
that's me. I got a lot of layers. I'm like Shrek with the onion. You know.
I was gonna say it's kind of like getting the puzzle on the back of like the children's menu at a restaurant. It's not hard. If you spend a couple minutes with it, you're gonna get it.
She's trying to genuinely be nice, and Harris is like, "Oh yes, her genuine niceness is a
like,
perfect
"No, no, no,
opportunity."
I'm just
Yeah.
punching down as usual. No. If you can complete it in crayon, it's not that complicated.
So I'm staying right now at my this is Colleen's cousin's house. They're on vacation, so they're like allowing us to stay in their house for this week. And her cousin is like a professional photographer of newborn babies and like pregnant women. So I'm sitting here like this whole time just kind of checking this out. Let's see if I can do this. You guys see that?
Oh my
Wow.
That was a stunning black and white piece of
Nice.
art of a pregnant
holding
lady.
her
That's why
breast.
my eyes keep like looking up.
It's the classic
That's
pregnancy
it, yeah.
shot, you know? Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
cover
Yeah.
the tatas and show off the belly. And that's
Exactly.
staring at you.
You got to stare into the camera really hard.
Yes, very, very classy. Just enough nudity to be confusing to Matt as he podcasts here.
Yeah.
All right. I've got a question that's sort of tangentially related to this movie. What is the best 3D movie you've ever seen?
That's hard.
Yeah, that is.
Is it Jaws 3? I guess would be the question.
Well, I didn't see it in 3D, so no.
That's the problem. But I mean, you can imagine.
Was Harry Potter, was one of the last Harry Potters in 3D?
I believe so. Yes.
I think that was like
That was during the time when everything was made 3D, even if you didn't want it to be in 3D. You
Yeah.
had to see it that way.
Even if it had no, like, August Osage County was also came out in 3D IMAX for no reason.
I
Just-
was one of those people in film school who was like this is the next big thing, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna puke. Like, I don't know what. Like, we're not from the same planet. I need to go to the bathroom. I don't feel good. Like, I don't feel good. And you
Yeah.
can't tell me enough that I'm gonna love this because I physically do not feel good. And that was my.
It gives me a headache. I couldn't sit in there with the glasses on the bridge of my nose. It would just bother me. But do we have any candidates?
I used to work at IMAX, and I had to watch.
Matt, you've probably seen more 3D than anybody.
Yeah, I had to watch everything in 3D all the time. So I saw everything that came out between 2015 and 2019. I saw it in 3D.
Wow.
And what they,
So you should be able to give us the definitive answer of what is the
Yeah.
greatest 3D movie ever.
I think maybe. Oh, you know what was kind of cool?
Do we get to use the button on him? Like, wrong?
Wrong.
I think Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man movie.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but there's the sequences when he gets shrunk down. Those were really cool in 3D, and especially when he goes into like the quantum realm or whatever, and he's like flying around, and there's all the shapes and stuff. That I remember looking really cool. One thing you guys probably don't know is that China loves 3D, and they love it when the 3D is like maximized. So all the Chinese movies that I had to see, they like the 3D. And if you could imagine, there's like a knob that you turn that like, and like American movies are turned up to like 3, for 3D. China likes it up to like 10 or 11. So like imagine cranking that knob, and like everything is just like so in your face. I don't know why they like it like that, but they eat that shit up over there. Yeah.
That's a good note.
I remember going to see some Marvel movie. I think it was a Marvel movie with some people from school who all insisted on going to see the 3D version, and I was like, I don't do 3D, but I went for that. And I just thought it was such a bad format for that specific, because there's a lot of action, there's a lot of moving parts, and when you have the 3D on top of that, I can't, like, it's already hard enough to tell what the hell's going on. And once things start moving really fast and cutting really quick, if it's in 3D, it's like you're that much more disoriented. Where, like, I thought the only movie that I could ever stand in 3D was like Life of Pi, because they pretty much didn't use it. It was like, oh, there's some flamingos and they look like they're slightly farther out than the background. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that kind of works. Like it wasn't like, it was a very slow movie with a very like sedate shots, and every once in a while the tiger would sort of lean towards the camera and be like, oh, okay.
A lot of the
But, yeah.
a lot of the IMAX documentaries are in 3D, and that's where it excels, because like all those like slow moving like nature shots of things in 3D look really cool.
Like,
So
you're
I
there.
highly recommend. Yeah, like documentaries.
Herzog did his Cave of Forgotten Dreams was in 3D, and that was, I didn't think it was necessary, but at least it wasn't like nauseating. Oh, also, did any of you ever? Probably not, but Jean-Luc Godard did a movie a couple of years ago called Goodbye to Language, and it was in 3D, and it was kind of dumb and useless for most of it. But there was one point where he had 2 different scenes playing out in each of each of your eyes was seeing like 2 different things.
Oh, wow.
And then it just sort of merged into one 3D thing, and it was done. It was just weird that like nobody who's been doing 3D ever thought of
Doing
like
that.
splitting them and then bringing them back together and what effect that would be. It was just a really cool random one thing to see, which you probably can't even see anymore because you can't even watch that movie in 3D. But I just thought that was kind of an interesting
Do you guys
single
think
moment.
there's like any new frontiers for
Like 4D,
our
5D,
craft?
6D.
Like, yeah, is there anything in your mind that we've not tapped into that's coming that
Smell-o-vision,
that
obviously.
you think is
I don't know. Like, the 48 frames a second thing, I think, is proof positive that, like, the more you advance it, the less effective it might be. Like, I feel like we have a cinematic language. I don't want to say there's no innovations you can make, because I think people do small things all the time. But as far as the technology goes, I actually think we're now, a lot of when we push the technological limits of things, we're getting away from the grammar and just what we understand as storytellers, the illusion that we're creating as storytellers. And the more vivid it becomes and the more real it becomes.
Here's where I think it's going.
Colin.
Here's where I think it's going.
Like laying down the
Colin's got a
gauntlet.
thought.
Everyone, shut the fuck up. Colin.
In the future movies, each member of the audience will have their own personal and private valet, there for emotional support and to help you understand how to enjoy the movie throughout the entire runtime of the film, right next to you the whole time, just helping you.
And it's
Just
and
like
your
whispering to you?
Your stories are curated to your mental illness.
Yes, exactly.
Like
exactly.
Yes. Yes. See, Colin and I, we like get each other.
I feel like you're saying that like it's a good thing, and now I'm worried for you. I know Colin a little better, and if you're on this wavelength, I don't know.
You guys want to
This could be
see
trouble.
my room? I'm just kidding. You want to go
Colin's
on a
revving up his
tour?
car. He's getting ready for the drive to Utah tonight.
He's like,
I gotta
"I'm gonna
lift up
go
this huge monitor, but come on, guys. So at USC
Yeah.
there's the game department, and I took writing for games with Danny Bilson, and it was this huge class that like blew my mind on so many levels because I kind of got a taste of what's coming, where Colin was talking. And for the final, all semester you had to prep for this huge final, right? And I was prepping, and it's actually an idea I've had forever. So we go to THQ to pitch. That's where our final was. And it's my turn to go up and pitch. And I stand up and I said, thank you, sir, but I will not be pitching today. And he's like, well, you will fail my class. And I said, that's okay, because I don't want you to have my idea.
Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, it's the lowest grade I ever got at USC. I think I got a C- or a D+, something like that. But the idea is still up here.
You know what's great about that is that nobody cares what grades you
I
get in
know.
grad school.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the one. I mean, I got all A's, but at the same time, it
Harris.
wasn't because I was like.
No one cares what you
You're
get.
Harris.
I mean, I got all
Yeah,
A's.
of course Harris got all A's. Like, look at your freaking backdrop. You've got like 50,000 books. You're like,
And I know that's a lie. That's a blatant lie, actually. Because we were in the same 508 class, and I remember there was some controversy.
what do we get in
They
that?
gave us all B's, and everyone complained.
yeah.
They were like, why do we all get B's? And they just didn't give anyone A's, or like one person got an A or something.
Well, see, I don't count that. We killed it.
Yeah, we killed it. And our fucking trio, we slayed that
We
class.
were the best of the best.
We were the best.
Even with my incoherent movie involved, we were still the best.
I
of
It was still
Really?
more coherent than some of the other crap in
we
there.
would have had so much fun if I was in your semester. Like, I can already see it. It's very clear to me.
Totally.
Very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad you didn't come at any. Matt and Colin lived in the
Yeah.
party house.
I love
We used to
how
have all our house
Colin's
parties
like
there.
grafted in. He's like this like sub genius that like doesn't even go to school. He has a yoga rug. He like has these balls. He's like the true.
He just meditates and fondles his balls, and that's all he needs to do.
Yep.
Those balls are everything, Harris. They keep you centered.
I inherited
The
those.
balls are impressive.
They came with the room.
You might say they were passed down.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
He's like taking his shirt. He's like sweating. He's like sweating like balls.
It is really
He
hot
lets
in here.
gargoyles sit on his face while he fondles those balls.
It's like, when are we?
I got my balls from my father. They're inherited.
He's like, they're not my balls, okay?
my
Like,
father's
let's
Scott
make
Shaw.
it clear. My
Uh,
balls are different.
Yeah.
They're metal.
Yeah, his balls are
They're built
definitely different.
Definitely. Built different.
Built different. Here's my balls. And I usually don't do this in the first
how the
date,
tour
but
goes.
here's
are.
my balls.
Take a gander.
He's like,
Gaze upon them.
you want to see my light bulb? I'll show you my.
Yeah. Just wait till I turn it on.
He's like, my computer doesn't register the light bulb. He's like
man.
speechless. He can't talk. He's like dying of sweat.
It's really
You can't tell because of the
He's just
flashing lights, but he's blushing hard right now.
I am. And it's really hot in here.
Just smelled his armpit.
It's really hot in here.
Shower.
I'm dying.
He literally looked at you guys.
Let's rate this movie so you guys can put your air conditioners back on.
Yeah, this is long enough for us to be sitting in air-conditioned rooms. Who wants to go first?
Colin, why don't you go first?
Okay. All right. This movie's pretty bad. A lot of good things about it. This movie, Dennis Quaid, he's looking hot. Leah Thompson, she's looking hot. SeaWorld, it's looking hot. You know, like it's just, this is maybe the sexiest incarnation of SeaWorld as well. I don't think we delved into that because SeaWorld is not sexy. You know, cruelty to animals is bad. Thumbs down on that. But jet skiing is good. We know that. Jet skiing in this movie was good. It needed more. The part when she kills the shark and then cries because the shark is dead, that's some interesting cinema.
When she turns over the fake
Yes.
shark.
When she flips the shark on its
Oh
back
my
and
gosh, it's
cries.
dead.
Yes. Yeah, I love how bad it is. So I don't know. I'm gonna give it 5 Timothy Dolphins. It's like in the middle.
All right. I'm going to jump in here because that's a typical Collins score. A 5, I guess, is a 0 on the Collins scale. But still, this movie's not good. And, like, I didn't hate it. I didn't, like I said, I had hope at the beginning of this movie that it was going to be an Exorcist 2 level bad movie where it was kind of funny and took big swings and just was fucking weird. But it's not because it's 2 goddamn hours long. And so much of those hours are just watching weird shit float in front of the camera. And I love the cast. I thought some of the scenarios were good, but it's like you said, Anna. It's just like every good idea they had just failed in the execution of it. Or even if it didn't fail outright, it fell short. It just should have been better. And also, honestly, we haven't talked about this at all, but the score kind of sucked, which is just one of those things. Like, they kept the original Jaws theme, and John Williams still gets credit for the quote-unquote shark theme. But I just thought the score was kind of cheesy and not up to par with the first 2 movies. So, yeah, on the whole, bad movie. Do not watch unless you're really into a completionist Jaws thing. I give this 2 Timothy Dolphins, but one of those dolphins is just because it has dolphins in it.
Wow. Anna, do you want to take a crack at
I'm gonna take a crack. So I'm gonna actually have to give this movie an 8.
Yeah.
The reason why is because my jaw was on the floor at the outfits, the 80s like vibe, just the audacity, how shocked I was to see SeaWorld, my poor sea animals depressed. Like I don't like that. That's terrible. But I was just in shock that I guess like this even exists. And then the fact that I met you guys and I'm laughing my ass off, I'm like, okay, this movie deserves a little bit of like love. So
Wow.
Awesome.
This is something we haven't talked a lot about on the podcast, but it is really hard to trash a movie when you make movies, because you know how fucking hard it is
hard.
to even get it done at all. I mean, somehow I
Yeah,
manage
Harris loves
to give
trashing
things
the
bad
movies.
reviews despite knowing how hard it is. But it is. There's always this little part of me that wants to say, like, to the filmmakers, it's not your fault. It's okay. This is, everyone. They can't all be winners, and this is okay.
I mean, I did not like this movie. I watched it last night and I kept falling asleep. So I said to myself, today I need to rewatch it and give it a good, college try. And I was like awake this time, and I still was struggling to get through it. And I even I might have dozed off even once. I like kind of slapped myself. I was like, stay awake. God damn it.
He's like slapping himself.
Like I said at the start of this show, I think this movie's biggest detriment is that it's just so boring, and it just doesn't grip you. There's nothing gripping about this. We think the writing is all right. The plot is interesting. I mean, it's like Jaws in a SeaWorld theme park. That's a cool idea. I could see why they greenlit this. The acting is fine. I disagree with Harris. I think the music, I mean, it wasn't the greatest score ever, but I do like the part at the end, the little intense theme that they have there. I just remembered it from my childhood. Maybe I'm nostalgic for it or something. I don't know. But I think this movie has a lot on paper going for it, but I blame the director 100%. That it's all in the direction. He just did not shoot this in a compelling way. Did not craft the scenes so that we learn new information and then are interested to see what is coming next. And it just falls flat on that delivery. And for that, I have to give it 3 Timothy dollars.
Wow.
That's still higher than I thought it would be.
That is higher.
And keep in mind, apparently the fourth one is even worse. So we have that to look forward to.
You didn't like the sexy babes on the pyramid?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I can like that and still hate the rest of the movie.
Yes.
I did give it 2 dolphins, so it wasn't without
Have
merit
you ever
completely.
seen the album cover for I think it's the Go-Go's Vacation? Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, show us.
I'm
Show
working
us,
on
Colin.
it. I'm working on it.
As
It's,
Colin is pulling it up, his room is lighting up because his computer.
It looks like a
can't
party in his room.
decide.
See?
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I want to get this record.
See, that's so.
I love the
cinematic.
Go-Go's.
Yeah,
That is.
That's a badass band.
this song's good too.
I really. The opening was I was like, damn,
Yep.
this is fun. It made me honestly think I should do a heist movie in Lake Powell with
Water
surf
skiers.
boats.
Yeah,
No, or
Bring it
surfers.
back. Bring it back.
or just
Yeah,
Use your platform to bring it
just
back.
do it all of it.
in
Yeah.
3D.
You know that
Bring
movie-
back 3D again.
Yes. And
What was it? Point Break.
yes.
Point Break.
Yep.
Yes.
Point Break.
but we
yep.
do that
Heist-
with
surfer
surfers.
heists.
Yes.
It is with surfers.
Point Break was with
Yeah,
surfers.
but like lake
No,
surfers.
with water skiers.
boat surfers.
Yeah.
Boat surfer. Wake surfer.
No, boat surfers.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
that'll
a
be
thing.
that'll be
Yeah.
the twist.
Yeah.
They just did what was the gag in the remake? I never saw that.
Skydiving,
Point
I
Break.
think, or something, right?
But
No,
they had skydiving in
in
the first one.
Yeah, they
Oh,
skydived.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I never saw the remake. I just remember.
I
the
didn't
commercial.
either.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad nobody saw it.
So Anna, you've kind of
like
talked
those.
about Deadly Illusions quite a bit, but I just want to say thanks for doing this show. And if you've already kind of sold us on the movie, but is there anything the listeners need to know? Like where can they find it, or do you have anything else that you've got going on you want to talk about?
Well, I'm currently writing a script right now, and I only paused to do this podcast with you guys because you're that special.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this has been a nice, refreshing break, and you're going to go back to
No,
writing
it's honestly
full of creative energy.
I hope you're inspired.
It just reminds me of the film school days, and in major nostalgia. I don't even know you, but I know you so well. It's weird. Like, I love it. Thank you so much. Deadly Illusions is out. It's on Netflix. It's everywhere. You can watch it wherever. It was number 1 in the world for like 8 days, and then in the top 10 for 12 days. We broke a ton of records. You guys are all gonna watch it tipsy as fuck. Then you're gonna like call me up and you're gonna be like, we need to talk about this shit. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm gonna
I think the more we drink, the more we fall into the demographic of like the movie.
and then you can we can shoot the shit.
Well, and that's a good for people who don't know the Netflix, like how these things work. 12 days is pretty good in the top 10. That's pretty. We had a great run with Rust Creek earlier last year. That was like in the top 10 for I think 8 days, and they were saying that was amazing for that scale of movie. So it's definitely something worth checking out if it's that popular on Netflix. It's something to be pretty proud of.
We were number 1 in Russia and Africa and like all these other countries for like 5 days before it was even number 1 in the U.S. And it just shows like how like cinema is a world language. It crosses all cultures, and I do think this is just an underserved like genre that kind of tapped a nerve for people who are really into sexuality.
Right. I saw the trailer. There's a lot of boob grabbing in it. I saw. That's appealing.
You got Matt's attention.
There's more than that, honey.
Oh,
all right.
My favorite part was the boobs. I'm adding it to my queue right now. I may not even wait. I may just have another drink and watch it tonight.
Oh, that's like the best ever. Thank you. No, if you don't watch it tonight, don't worry.
Okay. I'm not going to watch it tonight. I can't make any promises like that, but I will watch it. I can make that promise. Deadly Illusions
Colin
on Netflix.
even knows how to make promises correctly. Like,
that's right. I know things.
Folks out there, you pay attention.
Colin, you were here, and now you're here. Something's happening. You're killing it the whole podcast.
No, Colin's gonna like watch it, and then he's gonna want to mosey on over to his balls and do his sensei thing.
He's sitting on them right now.
It's so funny because like no one can see these balls, but literally they're like metallic and they're big.
They're disco
and they're
balls.
In the corner of that room.
Mirror balls.
They're disco
Yeah.
balls.
All right. Well, that's enough ball talk. We won't keep you from your writing. Anna, is there anywhere where people can follow you? Are you a social media person? Do you have like Twitter or Instagram, or do you want to give that stuff out? Some people do.
I'm so glad you asked. Anna Elizabeth James on Instagram, AnnaElizabethJames.com, Kiss and Tale Productions. Tale is Tale, like Storytale.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being our guest. This has been a lot of fun. Once again, we're sorry you had to watch this movie, but I mean, hey, maybe I'm not sorry. You seem to really like it.
She liked it more than everyone else.
Yeah.
Wait, Colin gave it an 8, I thought. Oh, he gave it a 5.
Colin
that's
gave
pretty
it a
good.
5.
You
liked it the most. There's nothing wrong with that.
He could change it down the road too.
Yeah.
We later on we do an episode where we give ourselves the chance to change our score, and Colin's a culprit.
Next time I come to LA, we need to get a drink.
Okay, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, Colin, I'm looking at
sure.
you.
Yeah, I followed you on our podcast page, and I followed you on my thing too.
A man who's ahead of the game? Like,
Yeah.
what the?
Totally on top of things. He's a real winner.
Thanks, you guys, so much. I'm so glad you found me.
Yeah.
Colin, I'll text you Anna's phone number as soon as we hang up.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
All right.
Yeah, this has been great.
Have a great night.
You too.
I'm going to go drink some more.
All
Goodbye.
right. Bye.
Good idea.
Thanks for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Big special thanks to our guest, Anna Elizabeth James. As always, thank you to Chris Morocco, a.k.a. C-Rock, for providing his awesome music to the show. And thank you to Max Surwitz, a.k.a. Suburb, for making his own Jaws remix, which you are hearing right now. Also, become our patron by going to patreon.com/L2W. If you like this show, please help support the podcast by contributing just $1 a month. For $1, you'll get instant access to over 30 shows of us covering non-franchise movies with a new episode every month. Again, that's www.patreon.com/L2W. This show is a part of the Fandom Limb Podcast Network, so be sure to check out some of their other awesome shows. And join us next time for Jaws: The Revenge. Peace.